Oh shoot, I am live. I did not mean to go live. But I'm live. Hello, guys. Oh my god, did I send people the right link? Holy bejesus. I did not mean to go live. Oh, we're live. By accident, I pressed the live button.
Okay.
Just saying. Oh, that was
Oh,
an accident.
let me actually bring it up then. What?
So yeah, sorry, my bad.
let me just get it up then.
Let me.
I hope the camera looks fine then.
I just had to go with what. I was like. I thought it was gonna give you an option before broadcasting, but it didn't.
So it's just okay.
I was just like, oh man.
All right, I'm looking at myself in the stream. It looks fine, like my camera anyway. It's not like super zoomed in or anything. So
I like your shirt. Majora's Mask.
thank you. It's a
One of
nice.
my faves.
Oh, is it? I just really like the mask design. So it just
I thought it was scary. The whole game was scary to me, but I love it.
Well, it was depressing. So that's the plus
Like the
for it.
moon. Like who thought that was good for kids?
Well, you know what? It doesn't have to be good for kids because I still liked it. Well, if anything.
Yeah. They make a lot of stuff for kids nowadays that are so bad. I'm like, wow, we used to have it really good. They didn't get really care. So now we're waiting on Andres.
Did you tell him like ahead
I
of time?
sent
Like,
I sent him the link,
no,
but
but I'm saying like, did you tell him ahead of time that we're accidentally already live?
no, I'm gonna do like I did with you and stop you before you like
Oh, okay.
start ranting or something.
Before I like start talking about my life stories and whatnot.
Yeah. So just waiting on him. Well, we're kind
Alright.
of like a few minutes early, so
Well, then
yeah.
anyone who's here and here to watch this, hey, you made it. You're an early bird.
My chat is quiet, but we have 3 people watching. Well,
Well,
me, you.
I guess there's like one secret lurker who's
Don't call them lurkers. He's gonna
I
drive them away.
don't mean it in a bad way.
I got my boy Snorlax today. So.
Hey, D-Fizzle. Super crisp.
Hi. Why put my name in caps? If I would have put the bot to like notice caps, his thing would have been banned. I
mean,
didn't.
that's caps just equals excitement.
Hello, Super Chris and D Fizzle for Shizzle. Oh. This is why
I have a bunch of plushes too, but they're all like over here with my switches, and
don't hold the plush. It looks weird if a guy holds the plushie like that.
I mean, I guess.
Oh, we're live.
We're already live?
Yeah, I accidentally put the live button.
Oh man, I'm sorry.
It's fine.
It was all we're just gonna improvise, I guess.
No, I got somewhat of a setup. Okay, so we're gonna talk about what the thumbnail says. But first we're gonna talk about Bloodstained and the Switch port. Does it suck? Is it ugly? And all that jazz. And then what else? We'll go into the Pokemon thing. Why are my dogs barking? We'll go into the Pokemon thing, and then we could just end it in a good note with Mario Maker 2.
Our thoughts on it, I guess.
Yeah, so.
What if we don't have good thoughts on Mario Maker 2?
Ooh.
Well, then make something up. It's Mario Maker.
You must lie! Or we could talk about... I'm just kidding.
Let me go tweet this.
I haven't bought Mario Maker 2 yet. So.
Why not?
Well,
I'm poor.
Well, I mean, either way, you could give your thoughts as an outsider.
Yeah, no, for sure. I played Mario Maker 1. I plan on getting Mario Maker 2. I've been paying attention to the game. I've watched reviews on it, so I know about it, and I'm curious what you guys think on it. So for sure, I can give my opinion on that at least.
All right.
Yeah.
See, there you go. There's always an angle to come from.
Yell at my dog.
I just feel like I should be forthcoming about where my knowledge is from. Like I shouldn't say, "Oh yeah, I played Mario Maker 2. I think it's terrible," when I haven't
I
played it.
haven't played much of it, honestly.
From what I've seen and heard, it seems like it's a good package. But I guess we'll wait on the details.
So, hi guys, we are live, and intros are so. I need to get an intro. So
I mean, it's fine. I've always been terrible at those things.
I was gonna do it. Don't
Well, go. You got it. Go ahead. You got it.
Okay. Hi guys, it's Mandy, and welcome to the Mandy podcast. Well, I need to get my own thing straight. The Mandy Show podcast, and today we have our wonderful guest, Mr. Andres, on the
Hello.
side. So, introduce yourself.
Sure. Yeah, I'm Andres. I run the Nintendo YouTube channel Andres Restart. I talk about Nintendo in regards to news, theories, discussions, all of that nerdy stuff. That's me.
So yeah, got another Nintendo biased person, and Shifty.
Howdy. I am Shifty. I'm here again, and I'm terrible at these sort of things. But I do a lot of Nintendo competitive stuff. But I think most of you know that by now.
That's all.
Nintendo competitive, a lot of like topics like, I did a video recently about Bloodstained port, so I have a good amount to say about that, I guess. But yeah, mostly that. Occasionally drama videos, but I don't like to say that that's what I do.
Okay, so hello the chat, hello Geek, Super Chris, Nanjin Senpai, and Defizzle for Shizzle. I just made that up on the spot. Okay, so we're going to start with Bloodstained. Is it a bad port? Because I haven't played it yet because I am broke. So hope your home go out with the stuff in the description down below.
I don't think that's gonna be a common theme today. Being broke.
So I wasn't able to purchase the game. Now I'm on the fence because I've been hearing kind of ugly stuff on the Switch. So Shifty, take it away.
Yeah, I own 2 copies of the game because I was a backer for it back when it like had that Kickstarter thing. So I own 2 copies on it. I own the Switch version and I own the Xbox version. And my thing is that I've seen some people say that the Switch version is like pretty much on par of a PSP game, which I think is a massive exaggeration of how bad it is.
That's how graphics are with everything. Everyone's gonna exaggerate everything.
Yeah, like I'm like every time there's some kind of like bad graphics in a game, they're like, "Oh man, that looks like a Nintendo 64 game."
Yeah, like Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Yeah.
Oh man, I have stuff to say about that. Go ahead.
But yeah, so like I think I feel some of the like hatred for the Switch port is a massive exaggeration. Like I don't think some people feel that it's unplayable, like that's how bad it is. I don't really feel that to be the case. I don't think it's unplayable. I think it's one of those games that's definitely better on portable mode than it is like docked. It's kind of like playing like those big third-party games like Doom and like Mortal Kombat and whatnot, where like if you put them on the dock, it's so much more noticeable how bad it is. But
can it have like improvements? Because it's not using all of the Switch's power.
Yeah, it definitely can. Like, it's a bad port in the sense of, like, it wasn't optimized.
Yeah, I mean, just look at games like Doom, for example. When that game first came out, it was a little spotty in terms of resolution and frame rate, and we've seen multiple updates on the Doom port for Switch that have come out, and the game looks and runs noticeably better. So that sort of narrative of games be like actually looking and presenting better over time through updates happens a lot with Switch ports.
Yeah, but that's unfortunate, don't you think? Like, shouldn't it just be a game, not like a patchwork?
Like, I think basically the way I look at it, I do agree that the port is not where it should be because the Switch has more than enough power to be able to run something like Bloodstained. Because like you look at Bloodstained, it's not exactly like we're trying to run The Witcher 3. Like it's not like a massively like huge game that takes like a ton of like hardware to like run to its full extent. But at the same time, I don't think that the port is unplayable either. Like I think it's perfectly playable, and if you play on like portable mode, it looks perfectly fine.
Would you go ahead.
I was just gonna say that I find that with a lot of these games that we there's a lot of like news articles talking about, oh, this game isn't running well, oh, this game looks like a blurry mess. It's not that those articles aren't true, but we have like we're very critical of how games look nowadays and how they present themselves. But to the casual gamer, a lot of these like frame rate differences between, say, for example, 38 frames per second versus 28, like half the time, a lot of the casual gamers who don't pay attention to these articles, who don't really look at specs very often, won't notice some of these differences. Now, I haven't played the Bloodstained version on Switch, so I can't speak to how well that game is running on there. But I'm just saying, oftentimes when the gaming community is critical of how a game is looking and running, it probably will still be kind of fine for most people. It's just like the hardcore gamers, the kind of people who are probably watching this podcast, where we might just look at a game and be like, oh, I can kind of tell a difference that's not as good as it could be.
But I think mostly because we consume a majority of the games, so it could get kind of expensive. So when we look into stuff like that, it's mostly because I'm not saying that I do it, or well, I sometimes do it all the time, or compare if it's another platform, which one's better to buy it on, because buying games is expensive. So you got to make a wise decision. And you can't be that average consumer just buying anything off the shelf unless you're rich. Which in that case, then help a girl out. But so you have to kind of analyze things before you buy them or before you kind of try them. And it's mostly like core gamers or hardcore gamers, because we buy most games.
True.
And play them. So.
Shifty, Bloodstained is basically like a spiritual successor to Castlevania, right?
Yeah, because Koji Igarashi is kind of like he's not the creator of Castlevania, but he's kind of like the guy responsible for turning it into the Metroidvania like staple in a sense.
Right. And I just think it's weird that, you know, it seems like that this version on the Switch is poorly optimized, when I would assume that the Switch audience is probably the audience that's going to want this kind of game the most.
Okay, so there are I would say there's two asterisks to that can kind of explain it a little bit, and I did kind of touch on it on my video about it, but my theory as to why the Switch version is the way it is because the development time on the Switch version was significantly less than the other ones. And the reason for that is, because when the Kickstarter first started, the Switch wasn't even a thing yet. The Wii U was the new Nintendo system, and it was originally supposed to be for Wii U and Vita. And then the Switch came around. Obviously, no one wanted a Wii U version anymore. So, they kind of just canceled the Wii U version and Vita version and instead opted to make a Switch version, which, since they had to start in the middle of the whole thing, they kind of like development wasn't as long as it could have been as it was on the other systems.
And this isn't a massive studio that's working on this game. This is this is a Kickstarter game.
Yeah, it's a small studio like comprised of like Iga and a bit of the Shantae developers. Way Forward.
But they developed it for the PlayStation, Steam, and Xbox. My thing is it kind of hard to develop indie games or Kickstarter games on the Switch? Is it?
I don't think that's what it is, because you could look at like say Shovel Knight, right, or like I guess like a lot of Kickstarter games, like a good amount of Kickstarter games, like Shovel Knight and like a few others, they run perfectly fine on the Switch. I think it's just a factor that the Switch came in the middle of the development of Bloodstained, so they kind of had to rush that one by comparison.
So small studio and shorter development cycle.
Basically, yeah.
That makes sense.
They should have left it like more time in the oven or something.
Yeah, they could have done that. Although, funny enough that Andres mentioned that the Switch version would probably be the biggest audience. I think it was already confirmed that the Switch version of Bloodstained sold more than the Xbox and PS4 versions combined.
So, I mean, it should definitely be their priority. I mean, that's probably why they were so quick to respond to all the backlash and say, hey, we are working on this. There will be multiple updates to improve performance. So I think they are working on it. I think it is really just a matter of small studio, short development cycle. And maybe, like you said, Mandy, they could have waited on that game, but they probably felt the pressure because they realized, hey, most people are going to want this on Switch. So at least we can get the game out there for Switch fans.
But that's something a lot of games are falling into, like kind of this rush. And I'm like, oh, what's so different about the Switch that it has to be a rush? Because they did it for the PlayStation, so it's clear, nice and crisp. I don't know why the Switch gets the axe. Oh, you look like you have something to say. Go ahead, Andres.
Oh no, I was just making the money side. I think it's really just the pressure of wanting to get as much profit out there, right? If they waited on the Switch version, they probably wouldn't have been able to capitalize on the Switch audience getting that game as much.
That's something I want to touch on because, again, a lot of games or companies are kind of cutting corners and doing stuff to have it out or to get money, and I don't really see as much passion or soul into these. Okay, I'm just gonna get right to it. I'm talking about Pokemon. So like, and other games fall under that umbrella too, where they just want to rush something out and it's hot garbage.
I do want to say though that like while I do agree with that sentiment to an extent for some games, I don't think it fits Bloodstained in this particular case, just because the Switch just the Switch just kind of like came right in the middle of Bloodstained's development. I'm just like, they had 5 years or so with PS4 and an Xbox One. They didn't have that.
It was different. It clearly had passion on it. It was a passion project. It was Kickstarter. Right. So, would you recommend the Switch version, PlayStation version, Xbox, or PC Master Race?
I mean, the way I look at it, it's like, how badly do you want the game to be portable? Like, is portability?
Would you recommend it that even yes, it's portable, but does it run good?
I would say, yeah.
Okay.
Like it's hard to say because it's like I think it's something that everyone's gonna like have a totally different expectation.
Does the game crash? Is basically.
Does the game crash? I'll say that I had it crash once, and that was me trying to make it crash.
Why would you do that?
Because I've heard, because when I was making my video about it, I heard about a specific like scene in the game that seemed to be like a common place for the game to crash between like the different systems.
Mm-hmm.
So since I heard the Switch version would crash often, I was trying to see if I can replicate that and get it to work. And I did actually, like, if you watch my video about it, I did actually get it to happen. And it basically just like made the background completely glitched up, and then it was like some dialogue, and then it just froze up there. And that's like the most I managed to get it to crash. But I've been playing. I don't know. I have like 20% or something, like 1/4 of the map explored on Switch, I think, and that's the only time I managed to get it to crash.
Okay, so it crashes when you want it to crash.
I guess I don't know. Like, it's weird because there's some other YouTubers who have said that it's crashed on them many times. So it's hard to say.
I can see that happening. The games are like notoriously buggy at first, but
right. I'd say like if portability is really your priority in this, then I say just get the Switch version. But if you're really a stickler for that kind of thing, you definitely don't get the Switch version because it's definitely not going to be the prettiest version, and it's definitely not going to run as like well as the other ones.
I just feel like once the updates come, it's gonna. I don't know, but I feel that it's gonna be kind of negligible. So, at Shifty, do you feel like you playing the game on Switch has impacted your enjoyment of it? Like, do you wish you played it on another system or platform? Or are you personally satisfied? Is what I'm asking.
I would say yes, because there's no other. How do I put it?
I get what he's trying to say. Like, there's no other feeling like a Nintendo console. Like, I mean, I rebuy games just for that. Like, how much games I had to rebuy on my Switch because it came out later. that I just want it on my Switch because of the feel.
I mean, my thing is like, I do take portability very like highly in a way. So I specifically waited to get a game like Dragon Quest for Switch because yeah, I could get it on PS4 where it looks prettier, but at the time I was thinking like I want it portable though, and I picked that over the prettier graphics, and that's kind of like the same logic I'm having with this game, where it's like I own it on Xbox, so it's prettier there, but I can't go lay down in bed and play Bloodstained on my
It's just so
Xbox.
comfortable having the Switch in your hands, and just like for games like especially like Castlevania style games, Metroidvania kind of games, like those are sometimes like really nice to just kind of have right there, I honestly, even though like sometimes like with my Switch, like I do enjoy playing it on my television, but other times like it's just really convenient to just kind of pull it up. I have my Switch on my bedside. Like let's say I'm watching a show, I want to take a break and I want to play a game. I just pull it up and I play it right there. I'm really comfortable. Like I really enjoy that experience. So for me, from what I've seen, I do like Castlevania games, so I do kind of want to get Bloodstained eventually. I'm probably going to get it on Switch. And I have other options. I have a gaming PC. I have a PS4, and I do sometimes play games on those systems. But if I have the option to get a game like that on Switch, especially after I know that they will be updating the game and it will run relatively well, I feel like the Switch version is going to be fine for me.
Yeah, that's my boat. I'm kind of waiting till it kind of irons out, and then I'll get it for the Switch because I don't see myself playing that on the PlayStation or my PC.
Yeah, and I do want to like make it clear because someone mentioned it in the chat, so I do want to like point on it. Yes, like the other versions of the game are buggy too. Like when I was talking to some friends not too long ago, and I compared it to saying like Bloodstained is Castlevania Symphony of the Night if they had the bug testing crew of Bethesda. That's what that game feels like. It's a really good Metroidvania game, but it's really buggy regardless of the platform you're on.
Bethesda has no bug test. That's the mod. The mods do that.
That's what Bloodstained is. Like if you want a good idea what it is, it's Castlevania with a ton of bugs. Like that's what it is. I mean, the bugs are not majority of the time game breaking, but you might have a crash every once in a while. Like I had it crash on me once on Xbox. But
once, no problem.
Yeah, the game's just buggy in general. I think it's just slightly more so on Switch.
All right, so let's see the chat. Hi, the podcast dojo.
Ray, my boy.
Oh, you guys know each other. Hello.
You know Ray.
You know Ray.
Oh, me?
You do.
I don't.
Yes, you do.
Yes, you do.
I know you, Ray. Oh,
Nerdy Cabana.
I think, yeah, you say Nerdy Cabana, it rings a bell, but not Ray. And hello, Hermaine Carter. Sometimes reading these names, I'm like, no, I'm just worried I say it wrong, so it's kind of like awkward. Anyways, okay, so that was it for Bloodstained. I think I'm gonna get it eventually. So, and I'm going to probably get it for the Switch, most likely, and I'll stream it. So, look forward to that. So next on the chopping block, we have Andres, and he did send me a article from Kotaku, which he had a problem with, and that article is called Pokemon Sword and Shield's Giant Pokemon Changed Up My Battle Strategy by Geeta Jackson.
Yeah, so do you want me to just tell you why I had a problem with that article?
Yeah.
So basically the article's it's actually speaking well of the game. So I'm all for it because I think it's actually going to be a great game. It's getting a lot of hate right now. Some of it might be justified a little bit. I think some of it isn't, but we'll talk about that later. But
let me link it down in the description. The article.
Go ahead. But the real reason why I had a problem with that article is basically like the opening point for the article is to say that Pokemon has introduced mechanics that are kind of just kiddie and childish, like Mega Evolution and Z moves, and they don't really offer too much strategy to the game. As a competitive player, I strongly disagree, but that's not even the point here. This person's speaking on the strategy of the game, but then goes on to explain one of his battles where he thought the Dynamax aspect made things more interesting, and he explained how he thought a good strategy would have been to use the rain to power up his electrical attacks and then the water Pokemon he was fighting against kicked his ass. So for those who don't understand Pokemon battles, a very like old mechanic. It's been around for a long time, since I believe like what, Generation 2, since they introduced weather. Rain powers up water type moves. So this person is talking about the strategy of the game, and they did not understand that rain would make the water Pokemon stronger. And they were talking about how the previous mechanics of Pokemon were bad, but this one is good, when they don't even understand a really simple mechanic of the game. So I just feel like it was really bad writing, because the person didn't really understand the mechanics of Pokemon at all, yet he's trying to speak to it. So
that's like the majority of casuals.
Yeah,
I just think you should not have an opinion on something when you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you should not write about games if you don't know what it is about.
It's like someone making a review about Mario Sunshine without playing Mario Sunshine.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but I think you guys understand where I'm coming from here. You shouldn't speak to the mechanics if you don't understand some of the most simplest ones.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying, because it kind of reminds me of when Smash Ultimate was first coming out, and they made, I don't know if it wasn't Kotaku, but I think it was like a bunch of websites all making like tier lists for like all the characters, and they were like, if you compare those tier lists to like what's actually going on in the game around that time period, they were so far off base they weren't even close, and it totally was just people who don't know much about Smash is talking about Smash like tier lists and trying to pick the best. It literally didn't.
That's fine, but they need to be transparent about where they're coming from. Right?
Yeah, they could just say that they're like casual and that this is just their opinion or something.
Right, like when we were talking about Bloodstained, I hope I was clear. I haven't played the game yet, right? But I feel like I can still talk about what I know and from what I've heard, as long as it's clear where I'm coming from. And when we talk about Mario Maker later, I'm going to talk about Mario Maker because I played Mario Maker 1, and I'll talk about things I've heard about Mario Maker 2. But since I haven't played Mario Maker 2, I'm not going to act like I have. Yet you have a whole bunch of journalists out there who do those sorts of things all the time, and I think they're pathetic.
Well, yeah, unfortunately, gaming and journalism, it's more about your profession in journalism than your kind of knowledge in the game. So...
Well, I just think that's unprofessional.
Yeah, it is. It's messed up.
Yeah.
And I don't see movies or TV shows having that problem. So it's kind of weird. I don't know why they would, not at least teach them.
I think part of the problem is that games require a lot more investment, right? So, for example, if I wanted to make a review on the Star Wars series, I could just go and watch the previous 8 episodes, right? That would take a day of watching stuff, but as opposed to playing the history of Pokemon games and having an understanding of how the competition works within that's a much bigger investment in order to write one single article, So
I'm not saying they have to
probably easier to do more research for movies and shows.
Yeah, I'm not saying they have to have this whole vault of knowledge on the topic, but at least know the mechanics would be a start. So
yeah, I mean, I think Kotaku kind of has like a bit of a history with something like that, because I remember also reading, I think a few days ago, they had an article about Bloodstained, which is kind of funny how this ties in together. But they had an article talking about how much they disliked the slow movement of the game, despite there being multiple ways in the game to speed up your movement. So it was kind of like they were coming from a perspective of someone who didn't really play through the game.
Yeah. I see that a lot. Some of them, they just require you play a certain portion or here or there, but they don't really require, like, you complete it up to the credits or anything.
Can you imagine someone complaining about Mario Kart 8 saying, man, it'd be really cool if there was a way to do tricks and get boosts in the air, when that's literally one of the main little things you can do, and you just have to know that you press the jump button right after you get off a ramp.
You're gonna look like a fool.
Yeah, like the Castlevania fan base was just making fun of Kotaku, just roasting them for like that day, just because they had videos of themselves just sharing it around of like their characters just speeding through the entire castle.
I mean, so it sounds like they have a history of just probably putting writers on certain games where they don't have much history of, but they're still expected to write an article on it.
Yeah, I mean, it could probably be tied to the fact that for some of these journalists, they have a certain time limit before they have to like move on to the next thing to write an article about. So they have like maybe I don't know. I guess it depends on the game, but they have like a few days with the game early to get the review out by the time it's like the time of release, I guess. So maybe it's a time crunch for them, but they're just rushing through the game and they're like, oh my god, I gotta hurry up and do as much of this game as I can, and then I gotta hurry up and write a review on it, and then like rush that out. Like I've heard that is a issue with it, but I don't know like how bad it is exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like developers. They're just like business suits. They don't know about the game. It's like this whole mess right now, but there are lucky few people on YouTube who are passionate about what they do. So check them out. You got two right there, too. Well, three, me.
What about Snorlax?
Yeah, you gotta count Snorlax. Only even matter.
Yeah, and my big boy Snorlax.
he's very passionate about eating, so you might call him
he's sleeping now.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
So did you guys hear that Pokemon Company finally had a message to fans regarding the National Dex controversy?
Yeah,
it was horrible. Oh my god.
Masuda basically did the equivalent of leaving us on scene.
He threw the middle finger, basically. Okay, so where I'm gonna start is like Pokemon has been like slowly becoming into something that's not Pokemon anymore, and not in a good way, not with innovation or changing. It's slowly becoming so streamlined that it's just kind of why.
How so?
Because I was the first to suggest that maybe we should not make new Pokemon each generation, because we're gonna fall into this hole. And now they keep stripping content off of games. Like there's no Battle Frontier from what I know in Sword and Shield, and like post games with X and Y was horrible. Sun and Moon was lackluster. They started stripping off post game stuff, and like you go back to Platinum or Soul and Silver, you could get like 10 legendaries, and there's a billion other stuff to do in the post game. There's the meta, and there's other things that made it like it might not be graphically big or anything, but the content, the passion, the Pokemon in the Pokemon game were there, even if they weren't there at first. So like you get the National Dex after, and now I don't think the National Dex is really that big of a deal. It's kind of the whole it's waking people up as to why Pokemon's changing and how slowly and kind of streamlined their games are getting. They used to, provide somewhat of a challenge, and now it's easy. Some people say it's for kids, but then it's like, well, we used to play Pokemon as kids, and we don't know. So it's kind of opening their eyes on, like, the Pokemon Company and Game Freak not really prioritizing Pokemon, which they should. Like, they got a half of the team working on Sword and Shield when it should be just everybody working on it, putting all the content, putting the Pokemon, or even if the Pokemon's not there, kind of showing it in a different way, which they could, but I highly doubt it. And my biggest fear is that they always do a second iteration of the games, like an Ultra. So they're probably going to do an Ultra Sword and Shield, and what they're going to put? The National Dex. So that's just my biggest fear. Like, you can't. Why?
So
that's like the only thing they could offer differently to kind of have for an Ultra version.
Right. I know that I think you and I are on two different sides with this issue. And I also know that my opinion on Pokemon Sword and Shield so far is actually in the minority. But I also believe that if we talk about it for a little bit, we will come to a common ground, because I think what we want is rooted in the same thing. We both have we want the same thing from Pokemon. I just think the way we're interpreting it is a little different. So first, I want to speak to the point on the post game and the previous Pokemon games. I agree. I think the post game and Pokemon games the last few generations has been kind of meh. And I wonder now, I haven't like gone back and played each Pokemon game recently, like in succession. But I will say that as I've matured as a person, I have higher expectations of games, and my opinions are more nuanced now. The Pokemon campaigns don't really hit me as hard as they did when I was a little kid. However, I'll also say that for Pokemon Sun and Moon, I thought the main campaign was very compelling. I was invested in the characters, and I was very upset what happened at the end, the way, Lily just kind of left. I thought that was very impactful, and I thought I got more than I expected from a Pokemon game. However, with the post-game, it did leave something to be desired. I did want more from it. So I kind of agree with you, but I also feel that Pokemon has actually been advancing generation by generation. So when I see everyone kind of piling on on Game Freak here, I think they're actually doing a lot of things to improve the series. We're seeing open world mechanics, seeing camera, HD graphics. We are seeing roaming Pokemon. We're seeing cutscenes. It looks like there's evidence for voiceovers. These are all big jumps. So I don't feel like they're not trying here. I feel like they are. But people don't like that the National Dex isn't going to be in the game, and it seems like their stance is that there will never be a National Dex moving forward, which I could see how people might not like that. I think that is maybe a legitimate critique, but I don't think Game Freak isn't trying. I'm seeing a lot of new mechanics, a lot of big jumps here, so I don't agree with that they're not trying. I just think
Game Freak is not trying. I could tell you that. They're trying to cut corners. That's what they're trying, and it's plainly obvious because they keep stripping away stuff that should honestly, okay, it's called Pokemon. It should have the Pokemon. Even if the graphics aren't as par, I don't think people would have been didn't have such a problem if you could transfer your Pokemon, or it's open to new Pokemon like a Safari Zone or a Frontier, which I don't know if they're gonna do a Frontier, but I highly doubt it. And
I disagree. I just think they haven't announced what the post game is yet. We only know about the first two gym leaders.
I mean, the game, from what it looks like, doesn't really look like. Okay, I'm not coming at this.
Sun and Moon, it's like a huge jump.
Well, I can't say that for sure because I haven't finished Sun and Moon because the story isn't as compelling to me. And okay, I'm not asking for some grade A storytelling, but going back from Platinum, which was the best storytelling for me, and it really didn't even do much. It just gave us more dialogue, but it kind of had a meaning to it. I see most Pokemon games kind of just being there to be there, and then bye, here's some Ultra Beast, look how cool and shiny, and then
what do you want what do you want from the next generation of Pokemon? What are some features you'd like to see in the next generation of Pokemon?
Well, first off, if they could, well, they already announced no National Dex, but they could make a very, very compelling story with the open world and all that. And since the region is so linear, I could see a good story being told from there, and that could honestly, win me over. I'm all for stories in games, so.
So have you noticed that the cutscenes, the characters are moving their mouths? There have been multiple cutscenes we've seen, with the champion and stuff, and they're moving their mouths, and there's no actual subtitles, suggesting to me that there may be voiceovers in the game. And to me, the camera angles seem a lot more dynamic than just text we've seen in previous Pokemon games. So if that's the case, wouldn't you say that goes towards what you're sort of asking for?
Well, what I'm asking for is a compelling story. So it doesn't matter if they're talking or not. If it's just dialogue and I have to read it, if it's compelling, I'll like it. I like Platinums. They did absolutely nothing from the norm of the other ones. It's just that they had a concrete story that meant something, and they had complex characters and, something going on there. But it doesn't matter if it's voiced or not, or even, I don't really care. The thing is more of a more compelling story.
So the presentation itself isn't that exciting to you. It's more of just the content of what that story is, which we won't know about until the game comes out.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I kind of have that negative from Sun and Moon and X and Y. It's just been going downhill. So,
I mean, I would just like to chime in for a little bit and just say, I guess when you say Game Freak isn't trying, or they're cutting corners and all that, I want to like kind of ask this because I think you two are coming from like similar places, but not exactly the same. So I'm kind of like just want to better understand it. But like when you say that, are you saying that like Game Freak themselves just made that choice to not care and cut corners, or do you think it's kind of they're cutting corners because Pokemon Company and like the situation they're in?
I think it could be both. I mean, they have towns and they already have such a small uh kind of group of people working on the game, and they don't really have the main people working on Pokemon. And I'm like, why? Or if they, I'm like,
as far as I'm
why?
concerned, the main Game Freak team is working on Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Well, some of them are, and some of them working on towns.
But Pokemon's always developed multiple games at once, though.
Yeah, but now that it's more than they could chew, shouldn't they put the resources on having all the Pokemon in the Pokemon game?
I'll say this.
I bet you they're
haven't
gonna
heard about Town in a while. I wouldn't be surprised if Town was delayed because they are prioritizing Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Yeah,
we could also look at the fact that like Sword and Shield is easily the biggest. Not when I say biggest, I don't mean like like it has the most content or anything like that, but I mean like they didn't really like. I think you and me and Andres have talked about this before that like this game is different for Game Freak for a lot of reasons, like the transitional period and like everything to that extent. Like
they're under the microscope right now, which is why they're getting so attacked right now because they have the biggest stars they've ever had.
They should know how to make a game. They've made games for consoles before, and they're a multi-billion-dollar company. You think they can't hire somebody who knows what they're doing? Like, come on.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Like, I feel this is more of like a Pokemon Company issue than it is a Game Freak issue. I feel like I've told this. I think I've mentioned this multiple times by now, but I think that if Pokemon Company gave them the budget and the time to focus their craft, essentially, I think that these games would be a lot bigger, and have bigger jumps in between them than they currently do.
But now we have this rush that has no passion, and I think the National Dex probably DLC, which is horrible. And if like you're multi-billion-dollar company, you're doing Pokemon Sleep, why?
I don't agree with the no passion comment.
It's no passion.
I don't agree.
I don't feel it.
It's subjective. It's purely subjective, right? Like you can see it, and maybe to you it just looks uninspired. But to me personally, I've never been more excited for a Pokemon game. Like I think they're doing so much for this game. And to Shifty's point, though, I think there is a problem. Right? I agree with both of you. I think there's a problem. And Shifty, I think you're right that it's more to do with Pokemon Company than Game Freak. We got to understand Pokemon Company is the company that controls everything about Pokemon, right? The movies, the cards, the presentation, the ad, all of that, right? Game Freak is simply a developer that develops the games.
But and I think what goes on, no?
Yes, but the thing is, they have to get the games out at a certain time because the games are the canon for the anime, for the cards, for everything.
Yeah, but the jump to a console, they couldn't have waited, maybe put a Let's Go. I thought that was going to be the stop gate or something. But that's why I said it's like passion, because they're starting to take stuff off of Pokemon games. That's not passion. That's just you're cutting corners so you could get this game out and then get the ultimate version later. But everybody already bought the game, so you're going to buy it again. And I already been through this with Pokemon. And in the past, I really didn't mind because the content was there. They had so much stuff going for it. And the National Dex wouldn't be a problem. It's just the whole concept of Game Freak turning Pokemon into something that's not as important to its fans as it used to be, or not as, where it came from. It's for core Pokemon fans. Let's Go was for casuals, and we all knew that. I love Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, and I like it for the game it is. And
I was okay with it.
And it lacked a lot of content, but I knew that there was a next gen, and then this next gen looks like Let's Go number 2. And that's like, what? I thought they were going to come out the gate with something so big. Not literally, not the Dynamax big, but something like
You didn't care about the open world, the wild area at all? That doesn't excite you?
No, if it's not done right, of course not.
So,
Who cares about how open it is if it's void of life and?
but there's Pokemon running around in it.
Yeah, but it looks bad.
You don't like it? Oh, I thought it was.
It looks just like the DS versions, but you can move the camera around, basically.
I think we're
Like,
gonna have to agree or disagree on that one.
I feel like I'm like the neutral, like.
Yeah.
the 3DS version type Pokemon that has passion and soul, content galore, story, all the Pokemon, then have this open world void of nothing.
I mean, I would say like, okay, like in the way I look at it is like I'm not as like I don't hate everything Sword and Shield is doing. Like I don't think I don't think it's soulless necessarily. I do see the cutting corners part of it to an extent, but I don't think it's because of lack of passion. I think that's more because of time constraints from like Pokemon Company and like things of that nature. Like they are cutting corners, they are removing features.
I think they're doing that to make the game better, though, because they don't have the resources to get all the Pokemon out there.
How does that make the game better?
Because I think they're prioritizing what they
Pokemon.
think.
Not open world mon. It's Pokemon, so there has to be the Pokemon. I mean, that's what I don't understand with people who are defending it. Like, oh, they're doing this open world stuff. I'm like, we don't play Pokemon to go in the open world. We play Pokemon for these guys, Pokemon. And if you limit the amount of Pokemon, even in the post game, you're just like, open world mon? Okay, I see you.
So, like, I mean, I'm very optimistic about the things they're doing. I understand this. I think the decision to not have a national dex is because of the constraints that they have moving forward, because now they have a bigger pressure to make better, bigger Pokemon games. And I think that is a problem. I think Pokemon Company needs to figure out something they can do to assist Game Freak so they can meet the demand of all the fans to have a national dex in all of their games. I do agree that is something that should be fixed.
That should be prioritized.
Right. Where I disagree is that it doesn't impact my desire for the game personally, right? I still think Game Freak is trying everything they can to make this game good. And I know you don't agree with the decision to take on a national dex, but I think they're only doing that because their belief is that fans want roaming Pokemon. They want an HD Pokemon. They want more expressive cutscenes. They want more exploration in the world. And I think that's what they're prioritizing.
No, that's not, because the downvotes speak for itself. The thing is, the downvotes on the video. The thing is that
I disagree with that too, actually.
Oh, well, the thing is, I don't benefit from the national dex. I don't look for all the Pokemon. I don't, not really into kind of the competition or anything, but it's not, for me, it's not just about me.
Right.
I'm not coming in as like, oh, it's not there. I'm still going to enjoy it. No, it's more of the kind of principle around it or what it's saying. The lack of national dex.
Are you going to buy the game?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, sure, but I'm thinking about it now.
You're not sure. They still need to sell you on it. Yeah, I mean, I think that's important because I do think they pissed off a lot of fans. People want the national dex, right?
Not the national dex itself. It's the whole principle of it. It just opens their eyes to like how Game Freak is kind of being like it's kind of mainstreaming the games into this whole thing that most Pokemon fans don't like. And I'm not speaking for myself. I could care less about a national dex, honestly, but it's the whole principle behind it. The whole cutting corners and mainstreaming it and making it easy and doing all these things for casuals when they're forgetting their core fans, which, okay.
I think I kind of like that point you're making, though, because, see, when I talk about, like, open world, controllable camera, roaming Pokemon, those are, like, all the kind of things that, like on forums for, like, years, fans have been kind of demanding for. but those aren't necessarily the fans that have been playing each and every game. You've been playing each and every game. So you're talking about the faithful fans. So I guess I can maybe see how the casuals are just like your typical gamer who plays maybe a couple Pokemon games here and there. That might be exciting to them. And then, but not focusing on things like the national decks is what's upsetting a lot of the players that have been around since the beginning and playing pretty much every single game. So I see where you're coming from with that. I don't necessarily agree 100%, but I at least see where you're coming from that. And I think, Pokemon Company needs to do something to appease the faithful.
Yeah, because, I mean, I would love roaming Pokemon. Not all of them have to roam. But, like I said, it's just seeing the Pokemon games kind of dwindle for me. And for a lot of fans, it's been like, ugh. Like Sun and Moon were okay. Let's Go, I enjoyed really much, but it wasn't a mainline game. And then now we have Sword and Shield, which it looked good at first, and then things started coming out about it. No national desk, and then Masuda kind of doubling down on it, like he's not even listening to us or the fans or anybody. He's kind of just doing what the business calls for, and that's why I say it lacks heart or it lacks passion, because put it next to Heart Gold and Soul Silver, which are my favorites.
I love those too.
You can see why you love those a lot and how the recent ones have been lacking.
Well, I mean, one of my favorite things about Soul Silver, or just Silver and Gold, are really good, and then the remakes were really, really good as well. They had a lot of atmosphere and personality. And I just feel like with Sword and Shield, we haven't seen all the environments yet. But for me, from what I've seen, I feel like the game looks beautiful. Some of the songs that we have seen come out are like pretty cool to me. Like, have you guys heard the NASA theme yet?
No.
You haven't heard the NASA theme yet? Oh man. I gotta play that NASA theme. Is there any way you guys could hear it?
I'll probably get copyright.
Right. Oh yeah, because Pokemon Company's kind of crazy with that stuff.
Yeah, but probably not a good idea. You know what I'll do? I'll put a link in the description. Not the description. Your chat, because I think people should listen to it.
You have to be a mod. Send it to Shifty and then.
All right.
Yeah, that works. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll send you a link real quick. But I heard that NASA theme. I thought it was super cool. It wasn't what I expected for like a Pokemon game, but it seems, at least in terms of the music, it looks like they're trying, in my opinion.
I mean, they gotta try somewhere. They're going to not try the Pokemon. That's what like most confuses me with people who like defend it or stuff. Like the best scenarios, we get the national desks. Is that gonna hurt the game? No. So why are you complaining about people complaining? That's just my thing. It's all for the good of the Pokemon game, and like, it's just some people are more vocal about it, and I appreciate that, because it's kind of I don't want just like, because this controversy is like the main big one that Pokemon has faced in a while, because they stick to the status quo and stuff. It's fine, but when they start making bigger changes, it's like, okay, come on, like, what the heck? So there's a lot of backlash from Pokemon fans in the community between each other, and I'm just like, we just want a better game.
I would say on my end, I'm just kind of hoping that for what is there is good. Like it does kind of bother me a little bit that there is like, maybe my favorite Pokemon may or may not be in there. But normally when I play a new generation, I always kind of like follow this own rule anyways, to just use nothing but the new Pokemon. So
that's usually how it is.
Yeah. So for me, it doesn't affect me too much typically. I'm just hoping that the post game is better than the recent games. And I'm hoping I'm hoping that like whatever like they do have in the game is good, because I know Andre says that he really likes the Sun and Moon story, for instance, and Mandy just wasn't interested at all to get through it. For me, I guess in a similar way, I'm kind of in the middle, where I did play the entirety of the Sun and Moon story, and I just had like a lot of not nitpicks, but a lot of issues with some of the stories. Like I didn't like how certain plot points ended, and I thought that they could have been done a lot better. For instance, I don't like how they ended the Ultra Beast story thing, where they made it seem like it was a big deal, and then when they finally released,
I agree with that. They could have done more with that, and they sort of did with Ultra Sun and Moon, but most people don't even like the Ultra Sun and Moon story. It's kind of like a reimagining of the story, alternate reality. I'm with you guys there. Like, I didn't like the decision. I didn't buy Ultra Sun and Moon, but I personally feel like Sun and Moon they were going in a good direction with that, and I'm hopeful that in Sword and Shield they will do it even better. It looks like at least the cutscenes are going to look and be presented better. Will the actual content of the story itself be good? To your point, Mandy, we don't know yet. I can't speak to the post game because I feel like Game Freak has never done a good job of post game. So I hope there's a post game. There is going to be a post game. It's just a question of
Everybody's excited for the post game in Pokemon games. Ever since like freaking. For me, it was Platinum and Ruby Red and Alpha Sapphire. Those post games were on fire. They were on point because it's like a whole new game after you beat the game. Oh wow! So like a lot of people
went back to Kalos. That'd be sick. That would be sick. I would want that.
Go back to anywhere. It's just
or at least like the Delta episode, like when you said with Oris, like that was. I really liked the Delta episode. That was cool. I wish it was a little longer, but hopefully get something like that. Fingers crossed.
It'd be cool if Pokemon pulled a kind of Fire Emblem type thing where they kind of had story arcs within the game. Because if you play Fire Emblem games, they typically have a story that feels like it's the main story, and then when you beat it, there's a whole other story arc. Suddenly, now you're doing a completely different thing. And
I kind of like what you're saying, and I'll say that this is just kind of like a theory, but if you watch some of the gameplay, right, of people who beat Nasa from the E3 builds of the game, there's a circular badge case suggesting that there isn't necessarily a specific order in how you get the gyms. So my theory that sort of supports, right, is that the first area, if you look at the Galar map, like the fire, water, and grass gyms seem to be closer together. So there might be portions of the game where you have to get the 3 badges. Like the first 3 badges can get them in any order. Then maybe the badges 4, 5, and 6 can get them in any order. And then maybe the final 2 badges can get them in any order. So that's just a theory. It's not confirmed, but seeing the circular badge case, I think, supports it a little bit more on top of the way the map is structured. So maybe, Shifty, we might see something similar to ARCs where there'll be like portions of the game that we go through, and then maybe after we get the 8 badges, there's another arc to like.
I don't get how the circular badge case indicates what order.
It doesn't confirm anything.
Sometimes I go out of order in the regular games.
Well, for example, the NASA gym was not the first gym leader we saw, right? We saw the grass gym first. I forget his name. Is it Milo? Might be Milo.
Mm-hmm.
When we see the water bat, and it's just an E3 build, they could have just done that for the E3 build. That might not be how the game operates on its own. But when we see the water badge, it goes. If I remember correctly, I think it's like the top right. Like it isn't like the top part. Like there isn't like a specific starting point on this golden ring, right? So I think it could maybe suggest that there is kind of like an out of order progression or an open order progression to how you get the badges.
So I guess you're hoping that it's something kind of like a Link Between Worlds, whereas you can go to a dungeon at any time. Yep. It's kind of like the same thing, but with the gems, I guess.
Yeah, I think there'll be some level of like linearity. Like I said, like maybe the first few gyms, like the first 3 in some order, but you have to do those 3 before you can move on to the next through 4 through 6, and then 7 through 8 would be the final portion. So I think that's how it can maybe go, but obviously it's just speculation. But I feel better about it now than I did before E3.
I somehow feel so much worse.
How?
I was excited in E3. I was hyped. And then all this stuff, and I'm just like...
So you liked the Pokemon Direct before E3. It was just once we saw the treehouse that you were trying to like.
No, it's once we heard the details of all like the cutting, and I'm just Masuda.
I feel like such a fence sitter on this whole debate because I'm just
Well,
like,
you're
yeah, because I'm just in the middle because because a lot of the things that they're doing that people agree they don't like, I agree and I don't like, but at the same time, I'm also with Andres in the sense that like a lot of the things they've been adding, like the wild area, I do like. So it's like I don't know, it's weird. I feel like I'm in this weird fence sitting position,
Why
but
would you want a big wild area with nothing in it, or just a few Pokemon sprinkled in there?
I just don't feel like that. I don't think it's just a little bit. I think it's
I'll
hard.
just outrun them.
I think it's perhaps more deep with content than your typical routes. For example, like I don't think it's shallow and hollow.
From the looks of it, it looks shallow and hollow. The cities look beautiful. Don't get me wrong, but
Oh man, I can't wait to like be able to explore a city. They look bigger and deeper and denser than any previous Pokemon game.
like once you go outside, it's like, hello out there. It's big, but
well, see, so you have NPCs in the wild area. You have your friends in the wild area as well. Like when you're connected online, you see. I guess I don't think it'll work where your friends can actually play in your same area, but like there'll at least be like avatars for them, right? There you can interact with them. There'll be raid battle points, right? Those red beams. And then there's Pokemon all throughout. There are trees you can interact with. You can whistle. You can go into the water. You can fish. Like there's different things you can do in the actual world that it's a lot more than any previous Pokemon game. So for me, I think it's a lot more fleshed out than anything you played before.
Pokemon is an RPG. This stuff isn't revolutionary. Like you're naming up stuff, and I'm just like,
no, it's not
revolutionary
necessarily, but for Pokemon, it's something we've never seen before.
Yeah, that's kind of sad, but in other games I understand why, and they made for it with content and other stuff. But now fishing and open world for what? Just emptiness, fishing for fish. What are you gonna do with it? Feed it to your Pokemon? I don't know. Catch it?
You fish when that's.
Oh, I thought you said a regular fish. I was like, what?
No.
And then
I'm just saying there's different things you can do in the overworld. Like, for example, the whistling thing. Like you can whistle at Pokemon now. Like that's kind of a cool little thing that we haven't been able to do before.
Like, oh, come here.
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool.
I don't know if I feel that because the random encounters get annoying. I don't even know there's random encounters, but
there are random encounters, but you can opt out of them. So like you see, like you can be walking in the grass and you'll see an exclamation point. You'll see something rustling in the grass, and the camera will kind of close in a little bit. You can either opt to run into it or get caught by it, or you can run away. And then there's Pokemon just roaming the environment as if
it takes away the excitement. You don't know what's in there, so you kind of have to like encounter all of them.
Well, that's the thing. There's the random encounters where you don't know what's in there, and then they have most of the Pokemon are just out in the overworld that you can see. They have both types to appease both types of fans.
Well, it feels like they're appeasing one type of fan, the fishing ones, but I don't know. That's just my opinion. I respect yours. I understand it. It's just that I kind of miss the old Pokemon. Like they're gonna. I think somewhere it said they're probably gonna redo Pearl and Diamond.
That's like
I'm all for that.
All speculation, but I mean I'm hopeful.
Just get to Pearl and Diamond, I would be fine.
Oh, great! They could finally make it good.
Oh no!
I think Pearl and Diamond just need some like fixes to the pacing. But you want to go first?
I was gonna say like that's like the one part I can't fence it because I really did not like Pearl and Diamond. That was like the Pokemon game that made me want to take a break from Pokemon for like 4 years.
What about Platinum?
Platinum is fine. Diamond and Pearl is the problem. Like
problem
because Platinum had like a much better story altogether. Diamond and Pearl, I just felt like you need for me to like enjoy a Diamond and Pearl remake, they would have to change a lot of things. They would, like Andre said, they would have to make the pacing not as slow as it is. They have to. They can't really do much about the Pokemon, but I felt like the Pokemon were the weakest in that generation.
A Gen 4 remake would be based off Platinum, though, right? Like, any remake
you would
always
hope.
uses the most. Every single remake has always used the most up-to-date version. Like, Oris had the Delta episode, for example. Like,
Oh, where's the Battle Frontier?
touche.
It's a little, stand.
They like you can
In general, they have most of the content. It's based off the most up-to-date version of the game. So
I don't know. I don't feel as confident on that. But like I said, like if they make it better, then I'm all for it. Like I feel a remake is the perfect opportunity to make it better. But
yeah, hopefully when that happens. I'm more focused on Sword and Shield now. Like I don't know what'll happen later. Because I see some of the complaints, like I think Game Freak needs to take at least 1 year of a break. They used to take more breaks. Lately, they take no breaks. There's a game every year now. I think Pokemon would benefit by taking breaks more often. Like if they're on like a 2-year cycle, it'd be a little bit better. But I'm just gonna close my thoughts on the Pokemon thing. If you have any other questions for me, I'll give it to you. But I'm just gonna say, I understand the National Dex thing. I hope that eventually Pokemon Company changes what they offer for Game Freak so they can have a National Dex moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of understand that complaint, but ultimately I don't think it's going to be enough to like hurt my enjoyment of the game. Even because I just, as long as I can eventually play with the other Pokemon, I'll be okay with it. But there's another common complaint that's like with the graphics. I think there's some parts of the game are really beautiful and other parts that are kind of like messy. But I'll say that when we saw the game first in February, it looked kind of good. Then when we saw it in the direct right before E3, it looked noticeably better. And usually with Nintendo games, when we see the E3 build, there's always complaints from them. Look at Mario Odyssey, look at 3D World. There's a lot of complaints for even those games made by EAD, which has an even better record than Game Freak by a long shot. And by the time those games came out, they looked noticeably better. So I'm hopeful that once Sword Shield comes out, some of those graphical issues will be ironed out and it'll look noticeably better again. But besides that, those complaints, I'm really optimistic about this game. I think they're trying really hard. I see a lot of the changes that they are making, more changes than beforehand. And I think once the game comes out, most Pokemon fans are going to be happy. There's always going to be complaints, and hopefully Game Freak satisfies most of us because, that's what we want, right? We just want a good Pokemon game. So fingers crossed, I'm optimistic.
Who's your starter?
I'm between Scorbunny and Grookey. I think I'm going to go with Grookey.
No Sobble? Oh, man.
I'm the only Scorbunny?
Scorbunny, get out of here.
You have your...
The reason why I'm not going with Sobble is because everyone's going with Sobble.
No. Everybody hating on Sobble.
Nah, who's hating on Sobble? Sobble's great.
I feel like the one everyone's hating on is Grookey.
Yeah, that's why I'm going to go for Grookey. I think Grookey's
people are like Team Grookey.
I just hope Grookey doesn't end up being a Chikorita.
I want my depressed lizard.
I want my spastic bunny.
Yeah. I don't know. My initial instinct is to go for fire always, but I'm probably going to transfer in my Charizard. I'm a big Charizard guy. Where's my Charmander? He's put away. But
Charmander?
Yeah. So I'll probably with Pokemon bring in Charmander. We've seen Charizard in the game, so we know that line is going to be in the games at least.
So Snorlax, my buddy boy.
Yeah, Munchlax. We've seen Munchlax. Oh, have we seen Snorlax yet? We've seen Munchlax, so he's in it regardless. But
I've seen a Snorlax. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm bummed. That's what I'm gonna do. Oh, I want Dreadnought. So right now, I think my team is gonna be Charmander, Grookey, Dreadnought, Corviknight. Like
what about the new Pokemon?
There is what's the name of the Fairy Dark one? That one's so weird.
Oh, the imp-looking one?
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't know the name of it yet.
I forgot, but yeah, I know which one you're talking about. It's like a weird goblin imp looking
guy. It's kind of cool. Fairy Dark is a very interesting typing. Like, can you think of a weakness for Fairy Dark? I can only think of one right now. There might be another.
Off the top of my head, I can't even remember.
Steel.
Like a few types weaknesses in general.
Fairy Dark just kind of like complements each other. Like,
I just level up my Pokemon and just ran through everybody.
And that's one way of going through it, yeah.
Snorlax.
I do hope that I have faith that they'll do something for the competitive side of things. Maybe have a battle frontier with a special battle tower and a lot of online features in there as well, somewhere around.
Well, if they're paying for online, they better have some online.
Yeah, no, they got to go deep on that. We have the raid battles, but that's not enough.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, thank you, Brennan. Fairy Dark is weak to Fairy and Steel.
That's badass.
Yeah. Everything else, I think it's neutral to the typical weaknesses for Dark and Fairy, like fighting and Bug.
Yo, nobody likes bug Pokemon except Butterfree.
Oh, Scizor? Hello? Scizor?
Yeah.
Corona?
I need him to cut something, but that's about it.
Doesn't Dark resist poison?
Or
am I getting it the other way around?
I think ghost types are poison types.
I gotta double check that.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't remember these type of things off the top of my head, so I can't.
I just know that fire and water, electric.
Yeah, like the basic ones. Yeah, like the basic, like super obvious ones. Like yeah, those I remember. But if you're gonna tell me like what's Fairy weak to,
Pikachu might be throwing me off here.
But
I just want to double check.
But what like the whole like battle frontier and stuff like that, I'm never really that into it. Like this the competitive like post game stuff, I never get that into.
Aren't you the competitive guy?
Yes, but not with Pokemon. That's like Pokemon's like the one game that I have never.
Did you say that about Splatoon?
Kinda. I mean, the thing with Splatoon is that I just haven't played.
No.
It's not that I have a lack of interest. Pokemon, I just genuinely don't have much interest.
Dark just resists Dark and Ghost.
Dark and Ghost.
Yeah.
Sounds like my ex.
Oof.
What?
Okay, we're getting saucy in this one right now.
All right, so pretend you didn't hear that.
Hold up, I love bug Pokemon. Oh, Matt's coming at you right now with that bug Pokemon.
Oh, Vikavolt cool. I love Vikavolt's design.
Hello, Fly Girl Gaming. What's up, girl? So okay, but we're gonna talk about Mario Maker 2. Gonna end things on a good note. All right, so I'm having fun with it. Your levels are relentless. Like Shifties, come on. I couldn't even get past the beginning.
There's nothing wrong with my level. It's perfectly balanced and fair.
Nah, these people are like low key. Oh, my level's easy, and you die like 10 million times.
Like, yeah, my level ain't too bad. You just don't hit the P switch. Oh, easy, simple.
It's like 10 P switches coming at you, but you can't hit the P switch.
Well, I mean, I have to make it challenging.
No, that's just like.
I have to do something to make it hard. Like,
how do you guys feel about the because I haven't played it yet. How do you guys feel about how it edits? Like, is it like cumbersome or is it pretty comfortable to use to like build?
I haven't gotten a chance to build a level yet.
I made one level, so I can kind of comment on it a bit, but it took a little bit to get used to. I feel like I genuinely liked editing more on the Wii U. Because it's just easier for me to just take a stylus and just, oh, what do I want? Let me just touch it, and that's it. It just pops up, and I can just draw on the screen to make whatever. And you could still kind of do that with the Switch because it does have the touchscreen support. Mm-hmm. But it's, I don't know, comparing like a stylus, the pinpoint accuracy of a stylus to my fat finger, like just poking the screen, is not like the same. I think I just feel like it was just easier on the Wii U. That doesn't mean though that the controls are bad on Mario Maker 2. It's not bad at all. It just takes a little bit to get used to. It took me like 15 minutes to find out how the reset rocket works.
I had to like message you. How do you get this damn reset rocket to go? Yeah,
because the game, like you go through the tutorial and the game doesn't tell you like, oh, press the D-pad to access the sidebar or whatever. Because all it does is go, hey, press B to do this, press A to do this. Okay, now use the reset rocket. But it doesn't tell you how to use it. It doesn't tell you anything about the D-pad or anything. It's just like, you go ahead, you got it. So it's like, I literally was just grabbing my controller and just pressing every single button to try to figure out how to use the thing. And it just...
I was like, what the heck?
Random question. Is Yoshi in Mario Maker 2?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Ding, 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 ding,
Or else I might get even more mad than National Dex if there's no Yoshi.
I mean, just wait.
Hashtag bring back Yoshi.
Just wait till you get the game, and then you're gonna have to suffer through my levels too. Yeah, you're not safe, Andres.
I know. I have a history of just pain and suffering in Mario Maker. Yeah, I really enjoy pain and suffering. That's my jam. I like death and more death. And then after like 10 hours, I beat one level.
I feel you.
The next one.
That's my goal for you. My goal for you is to spend 10 hours on one of my levels.
I hope I destroy your levels.
You probably will if you're
really... Honestly, I'm way better at 3D Mario games than 2D Mario games. I don't know. We'll see. I don't think I'm that good. I think I'm probably average. We'll see what happens.
Oh, thank you, Geek. Yeah, make sure to like and share and subscribe for Snorlax.
And sponsor.
And who?
No, I was just like thinking of another thing besides like, share, and subscribe.
Oh, I don't have a sponsor.
Well, you know what else you can do? You can drain your entire bank account right here on this screen.
Yeah, you can do that. Who can get their bank account to 0 first?
Ooh. Come on.
Woohoo!
Hit the leaderboard.
Tips.
Top 10 most broke YouTube commenters.
Do not do well.
Oh well, my Streamlabs, if you want to donate, is in the description down below. So no.
But going back to Mario Maker, the tool. There's a lot of tools in that game that you have to kind of just play around with. I feel like you have to just make a room with the tools and just like throw all of them into a room just so you know how they work. Because story mode tells you how to do most of them, but there's even like some tools that like you can do stuff that the story mode doesn't even like really do, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And there's even like I don't want to like go too far into it because I know some people are not this far, but once you beat the game, you get more tools after you beat the game.
Yeah.
So I would say definitely do that. There's even a secret power up or something that you get if you have to do a specific thing in the story mode that's not even related to building the castle.
Interesting.
So
all these teases.
Yeah, definitely do those things. But yeah, like I think it's a better than in every way than the first game. Just maybe it takes a little longer to get used to creating stuff, just because like there's no gamepad to create with. It's just your button.
Yeah, there were so many P switches in one.
I like that there's an actual campaign this time.
Yeah, it's cute. Toads are cute. They should make like Captain Toad, but expand it, because the dialogue is pretty funny at times. Like, what the heck? Who puts a reset rocket on the newly built castle?
And then you have Toad telling them like, "This is why I'm a cat person."
Yeah, it was so cute.
That's awesome.
I thought it was gonna be like Bowser or something. No, yeah, this random dog with something in his head.
That's so great. I love that. It's
the freaking reset rocket and then. Psh. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Like that story mode too is not like I don't know how short it is compared to like other Mario games, but that shit is like legit long. Like it could be long if you want to do all of the jobs.
Mm-hmm.
I think it took. I don't even know how long it took. Like I beat I beat it in the sense of like building the castle to 100%. But there's still a ton of jobs left to do. There's still like alternate routes that I haven't opened up yet. So it lasts longer than you think it would, I think. I'm not sure exactly how long it is, but
is there another reset rocket?
Definitely an improvement over the previous game. That's a lot. How do you guys feel about how they're organizing like the online menus? Like if you want to go online and take on other levels that people are making.
I think it looks clean. It's nice and fresh. You get to customize your Mii, and it does different little poses, and you can have like outfits that you win.
Okay.
So that's cool. As for the levels, you could just put in the ID to find somebody specific, or you go to popular favorites, and then you could save the levels if you want to do it later, and you can follow people if you want them.
Okay, you can have favorite creators.
Yeah, you can leave a message.
Okay.
A nice message, but a message.
Yeah, it's.
You piece of meat.
I couldn't beat this. I played for 12 hours.
I hate all of you.
My favorite thing, I think it is like one of the things I love about Mario Maker is just that one, you have someone who creates the levels, right? But then they have to be able to beat the level themselves. So if they make an extraordinarily hard level, just know that person beat it. Like if a level is playable, like for you to pick, that means someone beat it. So every level you play, despite how impossible it may seem, it is technically possible. Someone did it. Someone made it and did it. And I just love like playing these levels, knowing that challenge. So personally, I'm really excited about this because I am really into platforms. I'm broke. That's why I haven't gotten it yet.
I feel you.
Fair
I've
enough.
also been working all weekend. I wouldn't have even had that much time to play.
I haven't even had time to sit and play, but you know.
Yeah.
Well,
So
sad.
I don't know if you want to transition, but I have to bring it up. So how would you feel if they were to move on and make a Zelda Maker, assuming Link's Awakening's remakes like little Zelda Maker mode is successful? Then they're like, oh, okay, maybe we should make a Zelda Maker a year or two from now.
Zelda is a franchise that, for me, holds a special place in my heart, and nobody can make it except for the people who make it. Because then, like, I see where you're going with it. If it's just a small.
It would have to be 2D Zelda. It wouldn't. There's no way. I mean, we don't see a 3D Mario Maker yet. Although, actually, how do you guys feel about the 3D World levels? Because it has different mechanics.
The cat is cute.
I mean, technically, if you want to be like specific or technical with it, I guess like every game does have their own mechanics in them. It's just that 3D World has tools that can't be used in the other ones. That's the only thing that really I guess like what makes it separate from all the other ones.
It's a little annoying from what I've heard that that they didn't bother to like transfer it between the different styles. Like all the other styles are transferable, they work with each other, but 3D World is like separate. Like I appreciate that it's there. Like it's only a positive that it's there, right? But it would have been even more of a positive if that style could transfer to the others. Because one of the things I liked about the original Mario Maker was that you could go and see how something would look in the different style, right? So I kind of hope that they at some point update it so all of the 3D World tools are also available in the other versions.
Yeah, because that's the only real difference. Because technically, you can't like if there's like a certain puzzle, like say a level that's based on Mario World that requires you to throw a shell straight up, you can't do that in the original Super Mario Brothers. Like it has that. They do have their mechanics there. If you want to make a level based on those mechanics, that's kind of the reason why you might choose one game over the other, because you want to have those mechanics that go along with whatever ideas you have. 3D World just has tools that just are not available in the other games, I guess. But I suppose that's the reason why it's separate. But in terms of playing it, I kind of had to get used to it too, because I totally forgot how that game played. So
well, I mean, it's also 3D World was kind of 3D.
Yeah, but they still have like a lot of the same controls. Like you can still long jump in the same way.
It's cool. And then we have the cat stuff, and there's still things coming in from the background from what I've seen. Like that's all. I'm really interested in playing that version.
Yeah, in fact, I want to make my next level in that just to try to, as a way to try to make me get used to it, because I'm not used to how it is now. Because it's drastically different to a point where I need to get used to it. I feel.
Okay. Well, you guys just just talking about Mario Maker. I wish I had it.
Well, you will eventually, and then when you do, you're gonna suffer through my levels.
Yep. I look forward to all the pain and suffering.
Fantastic. It probably won't be that bad for you if you spent 10 hours on other levels, but you know what? That's gonna happen.
No. If you suffer enough in Mario Maker, you know that you can suffer and learn for one whole level. Once you jump to the next one, you have to relearn a whole bunch of other random stuff to survive these crazy levels sometimes.
Yeah, that's probably the case. Yeah. I have nothing more to add to that. That's probably exactly accurate because I have played. I think Mario Maker was my third most played Wii U game. So
knowing you, Yeah, that's probably like 10 million hours.
I don't know about that. I mean, maybe we're talking Smash Brothers, and maybe we might have something like that going
All right, Q&A time.
on. Yeah, so throw questions at us, and we'll do our best to answer them.
Starts, so they'll stick.
Yeah,
What?
throw these questions as hard as you can.
I don't
Injure us with blunt trauma.
Don't worry, we play Mario Maker, so we know we can deal with the punches.
It's a PG-13 setting.
PG-13. There's tons of fighting animes where there was a PG-13.
I don't know what's PG-13 anymore.
Yeah.
It's E10 plus.
Let's see. What's E10? Mario Odyssey's E10, right? What's the most vicious thing that happens there? Mario stomps Goombas. Flattens.
Bowser gets punched, I guess.
Peach turns down both Mario and Bowser.
That's probably the most painful part.
It's pretty vicious. It's like emotionally traumatic. You work the entire game. Your goal is to save her, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm good."
Well, to be honest, you've been through so much.
She basically says you're just as bad as this monster over right next to you.
She's just like, peace, I'm getting out of here.
Yeah.
I want to go vacation and be on my own. All the single ladies. Peace.
Yeah.
She even steals the ship, so.
She was about to leave Mario on the moon for good. She was like, yeah, I don't care about the last 20 years of you helping me. I'm ready and committed to leave you on this moon.
Oh, I like that question by Geek.
Okay, Geek said, what other makers besides Zelda would you like? Question for everybody. I don't know.
Can I go first?
Yeah, go.
So the very first one that comes to mind is actually Metroid, which is really interesting to me because the thing is, Mario, Zelda, and Metroid kind of have a similar foundation in terms of when they were making the 2D games. Like, you had Mario, you had Zelda, and they thought, oh, what if we kind of combine them? And that's kind of how you got Metroid, right? I'm paraphrasing things here, so bear with me. But, like, it would be interesting to see, because they all kind of had, they came from the NES era, like their level design, like it would be really cool to see them break down the elements for Metroid and just be able to create Metroidvanias. Like, how cool would it be? Because I guess it would be a little different for Metroid because they would have to make the levels a little bit longer. But man, how awesome that would be. And there'd also be a lot more verticality. Like, with Mario Maker, how much verticality do you get? You get like a couple panels, but you can't like scroll up as much as you can scroll side to side, right? Like the panels are rectangular. They're not giant squares. You know what I mean?
Next.
You got one?
Oh, you done?
I mean, I feel like I could talk about Metroid Maker forever.
Okay, then I'm next. Kenrick Project said Ninja Gaiden Maker, which I don't want, but I do want a Castlevania Maker.
That was going to be
basically
my answer.
Metroid Maker, but just different like theme.
That was
amazing.
That was going to be exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say Castlevania Maker.
I know you were going to say that.
I mean, Castlevania Maker would be significantly easier to do if they base it off of classic Castlevania.
Ew, no. Oh, no. Oh.
I mean, they could do the other one too, but I'm just saying, like, that would be significantly easier because I used to play Mega Man Powered Up, which had like a level creator on it, so you could make your own Mega Man levels, and I imagine it would be something like that in theory, where you just have like these rooms, you just make the shape of the room, you add the enemies on top of it, and then you add what boss you want at the end.
Damn, you're gonna go like crazy on that if that was a thing.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would be very much into that. I mean, if it's based off a classic Castlevania, I just think it'd be easier for them to do. But if it's the more modern style, like what Bloodstained is, I'd be down for that. I just don't know how that. I feel like that'd be a lot harder for them to make like a whole. Like asking someone to make like a whole map, I feel is just a lot more commitment to ask of someone than it would be to just make like a little Mario level or like a little Mega Man level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I want to be able to make a whole map.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's people like you, Andres, but I'm just saying that,
Well, I mean, they could make it more. They could maybe. I just feel like if it's gonna be a Metroid or Castlevania Maker, to really make it feel like you're playing Metroid or Castlevania, like it's got to be longer. Like what would be really interesting is maybe what they could do, right? Is that you make sections. There's still big sections with a lot of verticality, right? But there's still like, there's no way you can make it like a whole world. But maybe what you can do is that you can make these different sections and you can put them together.
Yeah,
So
I
you
mean,
can build your own Castlevania world, but in segments. That way, for those who can't make an entire world, in one single sitting, which would be a lot to ask, you can slowly build it up
right.
and have them playable individually, and you maybe even swap them out.
I think it is possible for something like a modern Castlevania like maker of sorts. I just think that it would be way more effort that I feel like most people would really want to put into it. Because I would imagine like most of the people who play Mario Maker casually don't really they wouldn't be open to making like, I guess 8 worlds worth of, a Mario game essentially. Worth of levels. They just want to make that one level they really like in that moment because they have an idea that you really want to like utilize, and then they'll post that.
Imagine this though, right? So let's say you can. They have the Castlevania maker, and people make segments, like I said. And when you go online, though, they randomize 4 different segments from different players, and you put it together as one castle.
Well, if they
and it wouldn't be like a whole like normal traditional Castlevania game, but each segment maybe you could do in like 15, 20 minutes. So, this whole like 4 segments put together, it's maybe like an hour of gameplay, but it's basically like a mini castle that people can like play.
That's kind of what Mario Maker does to an extent, because Mario Maker has those
you go into them in succession, right? At least Mario Maker 1, like you could
like they had those
get to Peach's castle.
Yeah, they had like an easy, normal, hard mode, and you had like a certain number of lives to beat all these levels all the way to like the end level, which was
kind of similar.
Sonic Maker.
Sonic Maker would be hard. I think
people would probably make a better Sonic game than actual.
Yeah,
I mean that's what Sonic Mania is.
Kind of, it absolutely is. I like what Geek brought up though. He first thought of an Earthbound Maker. So like, my idea of how that could work if it was an Earthbound Maker, right? Like obviously you can't build a whole RPG world, but maybe what you can do instead is that you focus on just a town or an area, right? So I remember with Earthbound, like you go into a town and you don't know what's going on. You have to talk to the people, figure out the story. So maybe Earthbound Maker would be completely different from all these other makers because you would actually have to write in the story. You have to put in characters, write in a story, pick the houses, pick like a secret hideout somewhere within the town, hide it. But it would be basically almost kind of like creating a mystery story within a town and putting enemies and characters all around, which would be so amazing, but it would have to be extremely well thought out. But I mean,
I don't vibe with that. It's like basically making the game then.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like games like that, maker games, I guess like the little dungeon maker in Link's Awakening is like more in line with how those games would work.
They can make like a dungeon maker.
Yeah, because that's what Link's Awakening has. They have like they don't have a Zelda maker necessarily. They have a dungeon maker, which is kind of like the same thing to an extent, because what people expect are dungeons, I guess. But I feel that if you see, because Mega Man Maker, not Mega Man Maker, but I mean Mega Man Powered Up had the level editor thing. They just let you make a level. They didn't make you didn't make a Dr. Wily section. You didn't make like bosses for it. You just kind of made the level. So I'm thinking like whenever a maker type game comes to mind, I just think of like, oh, you have the most basic necessities and the most basic like bite-sized portion of it. You just make that.
Yeah, I mean that's the easy. I don't even want to say easy. That's like the realistic way to do it, right? Like when we talk about like Earthbound Maker, like it's not easy to accomplish, but I do think it's possible. Will it ever happen? Probably not.
I mean, you could make it where you don't exactly make the towns and all that. You kind of just make the concept or the road your friends go down on. You could choose like your person's name, like a mage or something. You could kind of dictate where it goes, but not really build the towns and the scenarios. That's not like
I was gonna say that the only like maker game that I've played that did go that deep was RPG Maker. But then again, I don't know if that counts as a game or if it's just software at that point.
I mean,
Because that I remember having that as a kid and trying to make my own RPG game that had scenarios, events, a world. You made a world. You had to write out the dialogue for all the characters. Like it was just like
that's a little.
I've never played that, but that is a little bit of kind of what I would have in mind for the Earthbound Maker, which I think Geek agrees. Like it's not like super likely to ever happen, but it'd be really cool. I do want to say though that I remember in Mario Maker 1, I'm sure there'll be more of this in Mario Maker 2. There were a lot of themed worlds. Like there were some people who were so creative with the Mario Maker levels. They would have narratives within those worlds that were made, right? Like I remember I played one where it was like it kind of like ran through the adventure as a Pokemon trainer. Like you would start off as Mario and then you become Pikachu, then Bulbasaur, and Squirtle, and Charmander, and go through like vines and gyms. What?
Pokemon Maker.
I have no idea. That's even harder to imagine.
I mean, yeah, that's an RPG.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, scratch that.
I just think RPG Maker is like the deepest one that comes to mind, and that one is trying to replicate like a whole genre of sorts. So that one I'm not really. I feel like if you're making a Maker game and it's specific to a certain like franchise, like Mario Maker, Zelda Maker, or Castlevania Maker, or whatever. I feel like those typically just keep it to the bare like the basic necessities because if you can make a Mario, if Mario Maker was as deep to the point where like you could make exactly what the developers were able to make, then there would be no point in like having future Mario games at that point. Yeah. So I feel like they keep it to like a certain extent.
They sold. That's probably why I try to think of a reason why New Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe. A lot to say. The probably reason they came out with that in January and they came out with Mario Maker 2 now, 6 months later, is because they realized that if they put out a Mario Maker, it kind of
takes the place of
2D Mario, right? So they probably want to capitalize on the quick bucks they can make with NSMBU Deluxe. Oh, God. Mouthful game. Mouthful game. They want to capitalize on sales for that for like 6 months, and now that Mario Maker 2 is out there, that's kind of like if you want to get 2D Mario, like that's going to give you your 2D Mario fix, At least for me, because when I play Mario games, I want the platforming experience. I do like the narratives. Like I will always want to go back and play Super Mario World, for example, and Super Mario Bros. 3. Like those are amazing Mario games. But Mario Maker, like it will give you all the platforming that you will ever desire for 2D Mario games. Not ever. I'm exaggerating, obviously, but it really does satisfy that desire.
I'm just pissed with the P-Switch.
My Andres will know. He doesn't know what we're talking about just yet, but he'll know eventually.
Yeah,
when he gets the game.
No,
but yeah, no, I do see what you're saying. Like that's probably why they released an SMBU, as you put it, at the time.
NSMBU D,
right? Exactly. Yeah. Gotta remember that.
NSMBU D. That's just the acronym. That's not even the actual name of the game.
The game
sounds like a category.
Yeah, it should be.
But I do agree that they probably did that like deliberately. But I don't know. I like Maker games, but I feel if you make something as deep and complex as RPG Maker, there's too many people who are not going to want to go through the effort and time to learn all of the different things that it does when they can just go on Mario Maker and make like a simple level because they had a cool idea one day.
I'll say that even with Mario Maker, there's so many things you can do. It kind of like just first jumping into it, I'm not necessarily prepared to just kind of go. Like there's a certain kind of person that likes to go deep into the level makers, right? I don't have the attention span for it.
Someone said Mario Kart Maker.
I saw something even better. I saw something that both Matt made and DJ are talking about, and that's an F-Zero Maker. And what's really interesting about this to me, sorry, Mandy, I cut you off, but I'm so excited about what they're talking about. It's because we've had actual level makers for F-Zero from the F-Zero X. There's a 64DD expansion. So for F-Zero X, there was actually like a stage editor, and then in F-Zero GX, you could make vehicles, and these were 3D racing games. So we're talking about makers, and they're all like, oh, they kind of would have to be 2D games, but it's actually almost within reason to see an F-Zero maker, and it would be fully 3D because there have been stage editors before for F-Zero. There have been vehicle editors for F-Zero. Obviously, we need to get an F-Zero game first, but I'm just saying, like, it is not like completely out of the realm of possibility someday that we could get an F-Zero game where there's both a stage editor and a vehicle editor, effectively having a F-Zero maker. Right? Like, all they would have to do is allow you to organize 4 tracks together and have a Grand Prix mode and share it with people. Like, that would just be the bee's knees. Just add every single F-Zero track that's ever existed as something you can, like, input wherever you want.
I need a money maker.
Money maker.
I think like I think the reason why racing games work with like a maker thing is because they're technically linear, like a 2D game would be. Like, you don't have to make like a full map that,
you just designed it. I mean, the track can go in loops and stuff. There can be divides, but it's still, you start at one point, you have to get to another.
Yeah, exactly. Like that. I think that's why like Zelda's Dungeon Maker, Mario Maker, and Mega Man Powered Up Level Editor works is because you have a very clear start and end.
Mm-hmm.
So like like Mario Kart Maker and an F-Zero Maker would make just. It would be kind of like doing the same thing because you have a finish line. Like you're gonna start and end in the same place, so the player can just put whatever weird loops and tracks that they want in between that.
This is a dream.
Oh, maybe you could have like a sandbox where you just put a bunch of enemies, and you have like some platinum gameplay going on. And you just whack.
I don't think it's impossible. You just have to have like, there has to be like some sort of goal that the designers can like have.
Goal is just to count up those KOs.
Maybe. I feel like that might be able to work. Like, if you can have a type of game that has different kinds of enemies, like a lot of variety. So there's just a value to designing a layout with pre-existing already structures and putting different kinds of enemies at different points that would obviously create different challenges. And then just make the goal, oh, you have to survive for this long, or you have to get to so many KOs. Like, I think that's kind of possible. Like, what if they had like a zombies maker, right? Like, there's different, like Call of Duty Zombies, where like, what if you could create the stage layout and you could create the points for where zombies come from and different types at certain points, and put a goal, they have to survive this many waves. Like, that would be super cool, and that would be a 3D maker for zombies.
Yeah, basically. I'm sorry, I got comfy.
I mean, I think that like maker games work for most franchises. Racing franchises, 2D games work. I just think once you get to the making a world aspect is when it starts getting to a point where I think it's a little much, unless you want it to get to the complexity of like what RPG Maker does, which is, not for everyone.
But there is an RPG Maker, so it's kind of like, there's as we advance, right? As the years go on and technology gets better, and we see more and more intuitive UIs, and we find better, more efficient ways to do things, there will come to a point where you will be able to create a 3D open world RPG MMO. I don't know when that will happen, but it wouldn't shock me if it happens in my lifetime. Hopefully I live for a very long time.
It's probably like a balance between how complicated do you want it to be and how accessible do you want it to be.
Right.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Mario Maker is really accessible compared to RPG Maker, which I would argue is not very accessible, considering that someone would have to dedicate more time to it.
Sell very well. Like, I didn't even know about RPG Maker until this conversation.
I mean, I don't remember. I know it's a PC thing mostly, but
that also might be another reason why I haven't heard of it, because I'm not a big thing.
I mean, it did release on some consoles. I just don't remember off the top of my head what consoles it released for. That's the problem.
I don't.
Not Switch.
Well, no. Well,
I don't know.
No.
I gotta think about it for more. There's too many things coming to Switch.
Yeah, like Switch has like pretty much every game on.
Wait! Podcast don't just say it's on Switch. No,
is it really?
Is he joking? I'm going to eShop right now. Wait. It's been around. It's coming since what? No. Oh my God. You gotta.
Oh my God. Okay, well there you go. Look, see, I wasn't joking.
Everything is on Switch.
See,
It's on Switch. Let me see.
apparently it's coming out in September.
I'm like searching right now. RPG Maker.
Oh,
Now I have some images too.
oh, in Japan.
Whoa! In New, I was searching for RPG Maker. It suggested it wants to put R. I don't see it. Oh, maybe it's not. It's not on the eShop yet because that's all right. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Well.
Look forward to that.
Well, see, look, you could now you be able like you got if you're a fan of Mario Maker, you'll love RPG Maker. You can make your own little RPGs and force your friends to play them.
If you like making things.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they'll streamline things by this point in time. I don't know. Maybe it's been a while since I've played it, so who knows? Maybe they streamline things by then.
All right. Any more questions, guys? We've been answering like one question.
It
It's a really good question, though.
Yeah, it's really deep.
was a deep discussion and just that one thing.
What's your most hyped game for 2019?
Boy. Breath of the Wild 2, whatever it's called.
Not coming out in 2019.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Funny thing, though, I wanted to ask you a question about Breath of the Wild 2, but I said no. She probably wants to end the podcast relatively soon if we start talking about Breath of the Wild 2.
You can ask questions, too.
There's just too many things I could talk about. Be like, oh, the timeline. Oh, what year do you think it's coming out? Oh, what do you think about Zelda? Is she gonna be playable? Oh, do you think that's Ganondorf? Oh, do you think the castle will move into the air or will it go to space? Like, there's I can come up with so many questions. I think I have answers to, but I mean, there's
Ask one.
All right. Well, I believe Breath of the Wild 2 is, and that's not gonna be the final name, by the way, but that's what we're gonna call it. It's coming out next year, holiday, a year and a half from now. What do you think?
Yeah, why not?
Some people think that's impossible.
I could.
I mean, what Breath of the Wild came out 2 years ago?
No, early 2017. So it's been more than 2 years.
Yeah. So, 4 years reused assets? Yeah.
Holiday 2020 would be 3 years, 9 months.
I mean,
same world sequel. Yeah.
So almost 4 years of development time, 300 plus studio size, I think is what it was, and
they already have the engine in place,
reusing some assets.
Yeah,
I could see it. It's not like I wouldn't be surprised if it's later, but I could see it.
Yeah, I mean it's obviously possible it could take longer, but I think it is a Majora's Mask situation. Right, I don't think they're gonna completely remake it, like reuse everything like Majora's Mask, where the characters were all the same and everything like that. But
that worked oddly enough, though.
No, it did. It worked. I think it worked really well. I know Shifty doesn't like Majora's Mask, but we're not going to open up that can of worms.
It's ironic because I'm wearing Majora's Mask shirt.
You don't?
No, I do like it. I just don't like it as much as the other.
You're not welcomed here.
Okay, let's rank 3D Zeldas.
Oh,
before we do that, now we got some other questions to look at.
I told you one question.
I told you it's okay.
I see DJ's.
I just want to say one more thing. Like another thing, just to say, to strengthen the argument for 2020. That trailer was a story trailer. Story's not really worked on to Zelda until later into development. Yet we already have a story trailer.
So. Yeah, because they listened to me and said, "We need a story. You got your open world, your playground. Now time to get, put up your big boy pants and do something about your ruined."
I do want a stronger narrative with more enemies and more dungeons thrown into that Breath of the Wild world, and more towns and side quests with very, endearing characters. Put that into what we already have. You have the best game ever.
I want some romance.
Oh my.
Yep, Ganondorf and Zelda.
Ooh, that's the best romance to have.
I would be so pissed.
Triangle, I can see that.
I really hope not. Have you seen how he looks? He's disgusting. And no, he's not going to look like all those fan arts of sexy Ganondorf with a nipple ring. That is not happening. This is the Demon King, Lord of all darkness and destruction. He will not be a beautiful
Well, some people like bad boys. I don't know.
Oh, I mean, they say that sometimes the most evil person would be attractive.
Yeah, but Ganondorf's gonna be fugly.
From the fan art, I'm just like, Link. I do.
Bulk up, man.
But I do want a love story between Zelda and Link.
Yeah, I'd like that. I hope she's playable, and there's like how like God of War, there's like the boy and the God of War, and then his son, right? There's like an interplay between the both of them as you play with one, but the other works with you throughout the game, and it's like a story develops. It'd be really cool if Zelda was like an interactive character like the son in God of War throughout the game. That would be awesome.
Boy.
I
don't want girl.
I mean, maybe not that way, but I mean,
whistle at her. Okay.
I mean, if you can do it in Pokemon, why not Zelda?
Because they're people. Anywho.
But I was just looking at the chat just to see everyone's questions. I think DJ did ask any hype for No More Heroes 3. I can't speak for these two, but I know I'm excited for it.
I am moderately excited because I didn't get to actually play through them in their entirety when I was alive during the Wii era, but I knew about them. I played them a little bit. I thought they were really cool. I would like there to be Switch versions of No More Heroes 1 and 2 so I could play through them in their entirety, become a bigger fan of the series, and definitely be super hyped for 3 when it comes out next year.
I need the first two first, please.
I'm excited.
Oh, there we go.
I still have my games. I love these games. I want to play more of these games.
Play them? Like, do you have a Wii?
No, because I want them.
Well, I have Skyward Sword.
Yeah, I mean, I still have my Skyward Sword over there too. It's like I just have like some of the Wii games that I really liked. I still have just for no reason. But I mean, I'm super excited for No More Heroes 3 because I love the first two, so I'm just like totally on board for it.
I was thinking that, but for E3 2019 during the Direct, we would start hearing games to fill out next year. And we got some, man. We got No More Heroes, maybe Zelda, like technically Animal Crossing. Next year's looking pretty good already. And we still don't even know about all the games for this year.
Yeah, too bad it's this year.
I mean, I'm excited for this year too. Luigi's Mansion. I'm really excited for the Panzer Dragoon remake. I'm excited for Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Me, not as much, but I'm still gonna buy it.
Astral Chain.
That one
gets the attention it deserves. It's looking pretty good.
I want that.
Link's Awakening, honestly, is
so cute.
It looks brilliant to me.
I still can't find the Dreamer Edition.
I think that's gone.
I'm like, well, now it's a dream.
Yeah, that's probably why they called it that.
Because it's like, okay, I don't have freaking $80 on hand. Let me wait till like Friday. I go on Friday. They're not there.
Yikes.
They're not there. They flew out. I'm like, man, kind of poor Zelda fan am I? I should have been there at the time of pre-order. Sorry, Snorlax.
And getting abused on this podcast.
And like, but no, I was like, okay, it's fresh, hot. I'll wait till a little later, and no.
That if it's something Zelda related and I immediately like what I see for it, I typically just like I'll pre-order it just immediately just so I can pre-order it. And then
nowadays, like, you have to put your money down.
Yeah. I mean, you could put a portion of it down, can't you? Or it has to be like, you're talking about online, right?
I think with exclusive editions, you have to put all of it down.
Oh, is it? I'm not sure because the last time I don't remember, like the last Zelda I got was it the Master Edition? But I bought the Master Edition like just immediately. Like I bought it like full. Like I paid it in full like immediately. So I didn't even try to do that on that one. I'm not sure.
Sucks to be broke. Okay, that's the moral of this podcast.
Well, that's how it started, and that's how it still is.
Someday, though, we will rule the world.
I
with
just want to
Zelda
go.
and Metroid makers, and especially our F-Zero maker.
I just want to travel, go to E3, get out of my parents' house, and yeah, have my own game room. Oh my
My goal is to someday be bigger and prettier than even sexy Ganondorf on the internet, rule the world, have a successful YouTube channel, and enjoy life playing games and have a lot of cool people by my side.
Okay, I can
And have a dragon.
I like that one. I want to add
see.
that one to my
The
list.
Ganondorf one was far fetched, but the dragon.
Yeah, getting as big as Ganondorf would be pretty hard. Yeah.
I mean, I'll probably share that in my own goals and say that I would also like to be on the Smash PGR at some point.
I thought you meant you wanted to get as big as Ganondorf too. It was like, yeah, let's start going to the gym.
No, I meant that. Yeah.
Oh,
that,
okay.
That and the Smash PGR.
There should be like a gym where it's Ganondorf's body, and he's like, get as big as me. Come inside here.
And he's just flexing in all the different rooms.
Yeah. There's even one with Groose.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Have you guys ever thought that Groose might be like the beginning of the line for Ganondorf or the Gerudo because he has the yellow eyes of the Gerudo and the red hair, and he's kind of
He's so funny.
Yeah.
You compare it to like the serious Ganondorf. And you're like,
Just look at Groose and look at Ganondorf in the same, like just right next to each other. And just go, yeah, they look like they belong to the same people.
Yeah.
Maybe that's him. The hand is holding down.
It's Groose.
It's actually Groose. That's the twist. Yeah. Groose is the one that-
I legitimately thought when I was playing Skyward Sword that something bad was going to happen to Groose because he was kind of like Link's rival, right? And again, he looks like a Gerudo. He has yellow eyes and red hair, and he's big. Like I thought he was going to become like the Ganondorf. That never happened. He just kind of flew off into the sunset. My theory is that was the desert.
Zelda and Link.
And he was in love with Zelda. There was a love triangle.
So he was like, okay, I might as well third wheel.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like his role.
Maybe once Demise cursed Link and Zelda's spirit of hatred, that spirit of hatred followed Groose, and it was like, and it latched onto that bit of jealousy that Groose had, and it turned him to the evil Dark Lord, and spawned generations.
I don't think Zelda's that hot.
Spoiler. The corpse in the trailer is actually Groose.
That was what I said.
Yo, really? You think it's Groose? Oh my god.
No, I don't for real think it's Groose.
Oh, I misheard you then. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying as a joke.
Oh. What if?
But
Video coming soon, guys. Magnifying glass on Groose.
It could really be Groose. You don't know. Who knows?
Could it be Groose in the Breath of the Wild 2 sequel trailer? Find out by clicking here.
It's just
I mean,
a theory, a game theory.
You can make a theory out of anything.
Yeah, but I mean, I'd rather make a theory on something that I think has some credibility.
That could be Groose.
Maybe.
Yeah, Groose grew his hair out and snapped his own neck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He also would have to become a Gerudo, right? Like
No.
he was alive when they weren't around yet.
I mean, what if he just like one of those, like what if he just
What
worked?
if he traveled to the future and became their king?
I think they're good without the woman thing going on.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe.
What
Just-
are you thinking about?
I'm just thinking like Groose traveling to the future, but I'm also just thinking like, what if it's just some dude who just wears like Gerudo garb? Like Link did it.
It's Ganondorf. Well, Link did not wear all that bling. He didn't have like
Because he
luscious
too.
L'Oreal
So you
hair.
know the cross dresser that you meet right out of the Gerudo town in Breath of the Wild.
Oh,
That
wow.
guy went back in time and he became inside.
He became Ganon.
Yeah, this whole time.
I don't buy that.
No, it's 100% Ganondorf. I think the only debate is which Ganondorf, but I
The Ganondorf for that timeline. Don't get me started on timelines.
oh well, yeah, I agree with you. It's the main Ganondorf. But there's two other options. It could be new Ganondorf, like one that hasn't been introduced yet, or the reincarnated one in Four Swords. But I do agree it's the one we saw in Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, and Twilight Princess, which are all the same Ganondorf. It is the main Ganondorf. It's him, even as a hole in his chest.
I mean, Ganondorf is a Ganondorf is a Ganondorf.
Yes.
There is a Ganondorf for every situation.
And it's the same guy. He just doesn't die.
He just refuses to understand the concept of a life expectancy.
Yeah. Yeah, which is why he's just been down there for forever.
Forever.
Yep.
Whose hand is the question? Whose hand is that?
I
Miles of Faith? I don't know.
It might be related to the tapestry.
It is.
Because it's a blue hand.
Somebody's holding it now.
Some people are theorizing it might be related to the Zonai.
Illuminati.
Basically, the Zelda equivalent of the Illuminati are the Zonai. Yeah.
That's cool. I see that. I see that.
Yeah.
Princess Ganondorf? Twilight Princess Ganondorf.
Princess Ganondorf would just be like one of many Gerudo.
Yeah. No. They meant Twilight Princess, the game, the Ganondorf.
Oh,
Yeah.
I heard Princess Ganondorf, and I thought like a Ganondorf as a princess.
No, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the Ganondorf. I only said Ocarina of Time Wind Waker because they're all the same person, just different times. But
that's one dedicated hand.
What about the hand?
That's one dedicated hand.
Yeah.
It's just that there.
It could be a spirit, kind of like the Sheikah monks. Like they have
or
one
sword, the ones that come out of the toilet.
That's that same person. Skyward that they're seeing all these links to Skyward Sword, Groose, the poo hand, Yeah.
Can we not have the poo hand touching people?
Well,
toilet paper. Maybe that's why Ganondorf was reincarnated in the trailer, because Link had paper and the hand saw paper. It let go of Ganondorf, got the paper, was very happy, and then Ganondorf was like,
okay, there's some theories that just don't make sense.
No, they're all jokes, by the way.
Maybe the only reason why the hand was reaching for Ganon is that it misunderstood its robes as paper.
Paper.
Yeah.
Yes.
Reaching too hard.
It has the IQ of Forky.
Forky?
What's a
Forky?
Toy Story reference.
That sounds like something else. Okay.
Well, Toy Story 4, there's a character called Forky, and he just likes trash. Every time he sees trash, he's like, "Oh, trash, trash." The hand's like paper. Yeah.
Wait, how do you say Gerudo, Geek? How am I saying it weird? Am I saying it wrong?
Gerudo, it's Gerudo.
It's Gerudo, isn't it?
What are you saying?
Because Geek is saying I don't like the way you say Gerudo, so I'm thinking, am I saying it wrong?
Gerudo. Say it.
Gerudo.
Well, he's from New York. Give him a break.
Is it?
Say everything weird.
Maybe there's like an accent to it. I don't know.
I
think I'm saying it right. I don't know. I've never heard it pronounced any other way.
My theory is that Ganondorf will absorb all the malice to restore himself to full life and power.
That's
steroids. Okay, see it.
That's probably accurate. I mean that's a much better theory than the hand thinking it needed paper.
Yeah, that too. All right, so is that all the questions we have?
I think so.
All right, so now on to the outros. Where can they find you, Mr. Andres?
Okay, so if you know how to spell Andres Restart, that's it. Search Andres Restart, one word.
It's in the description down below.
Yeah, there you go. You find me if you love Nintendo speculation or just like interesting talking points related to Nintendo. I'm your guy. So check me out. Zelda theories, Smash predictions, Pokemon, whatever, Animal Crossing hype, all of that. You find it there.
Nice
Metroid trilogy begging is also there too. Forever.
Okay. I mean, you Shifty?
I am Shifty's the channel's name. Pretty sure it's in the description also. I do a lot of Nintendo competitive stuff. I'm planning on doing a little kind of series for Smash for like beginners kind of thing. So if you're interested in trying to, maybe understand Smash terminology and stuff like that, I'll be doing that in a little bit. I do a lot of kind of just Nintendo Switch related news, competitive stuff. Every Friday I have a fight club where we just play Smash Brothers, but I play ARMS, Pokken, Smash, all these different things. I also play Mortal Kombat 11, and I just recently started playing Samurai Showdown, which is going to be on Switch eventually. I don't know when though, which is weird.
Someday.
Yeah, it will be coming.
F-Zero and a Metroid Prime trilogy.
I hopefully before those.
What do you mean? I want those as soon as possible.
Yes, but we don't know when that's happening.
No,
And
it's not 2019. Probably not.
I think. But yeah, I do a lot of that, and I'm hoping to expand on that a little bit by doing other Nintendo games eventually. So stop by and check me out.
All right, so now that we got that, you know where to find me. You can follow me on Twitter at MandyleePlays. Hit that like button if you liked it, and subscribe if you're new and you haven't subscribed. Hopefully you do. So, okay. So with all that being said, I'll see you guys later and have a wonderful day. Bye.
Bye. See ya.
Bye.
Let me stop.